Hello readers and writers, I'm MJ and today let's read some books by autistic authors. So the plan for this reading vlog is to read two books that have autism rep that were written by autistic authors. The first is The Outside by Ada Hoffman. This is a science fiction book that is fairly well known for the autism rep. When you ask people about, books by autistic authors that are actually by autistic authors, it tends to be On the Edge of Gone and The Outside. Those are the two big traditionally published books, and I have not read The Outside yet, so I'm going to finally pick that up. And I plan on loving it because I've heard amazing things by it. So there's not a lot of traditionally published books by autistic authors, I think, for two reasons. One, because autism rep tends to be written by non-autistic authors, which sucks. And autistic authors either are not allowed in the traditionally published space or are intimidated by trying to force their way in. It's one of the reasons why I chose to self-publish, is because the thought of having to go through all of that to force my way into an industry that doesn't even want me to be there was just too much. And so I know that there's also a lot of indie authors that are autistic, and I'm trying to find more of them so that I can bring attention to them. And I found one, and it's called The Changeling, and it is autistic with a non-binary main character. And I would not have found this book if it wasn't for Threads. So I interact with this author pretty regularly on Threads. I'm sure we follow each other on Instagram, but I don't know, Threads just gives a way to actually have more conversation with people. And I was able to, realize that they had a book out that was autistic and non-binary, and I will read pretty much anything that's autistic and non-binary / trans. Even horror, which that vlog will be coming later this year, or this month, whatever time. So I am very excited to pick that up as well, and to let you all know what it's about. I think it's romance fantasy, but I'm not sure, honestly. Yeah, I totally picked it up based upon the rep, and I have no regrets for that. So I had it planned to start this vlog today. However, I also had it planned yesterday to do a lot of things that I didn't finish. So in this vlog, we are going to be finishing some of the tasks that I was hoping to get done yesterday. First one, reading. I'm in the middle, well, not middle, but I was hoping to finish reading The Sterling House yesterday. This is one that recently came out, but I have an arc that I'm behind on, and so I wanted to get that read. I think the book's longer than I expected it to be, and I didn't end up getting it finished. I am about 70% of the way through, so I'll definitely finished reading that as part of this blog also, and just kind of give updates, basically, that I'm really loving it. And if you want a book that's very gothic and mysterious without being like scary, then I think you should absolutely pick it up. I loved the 10,000 Doors of January, adored it. I picked up the Twisted Fairy Tales with the first one with Sleeping Beauty, and I did not like it, but I was pretty sure that this writing style was going to be closer to 10,000 Doors of January, and really wanted to pick this book up, and I have no regrets. It is fantastically written, and I am thoroughly enjoying it, and them putting it out and releasing it in fall was the perfect decision. So, writing updates. I was going to have all my proofread edits done yesterday, and I think that was potentially a little ambitious, but I am about 3/4 the way done, I think. So I will definitely finish those today so that I can get it off to the next step, which is a second proofread. Because I do too. Because I need to do too. Well, oh, and then I still have to get some social media stuff done. I have to film some YouTube videos and get rest of like some shorts filmed as well. I did make way on that, but I ended up reading a lot, and then I never I didn't even finish the book. So whatever, but it was really good. So there's a lot to do today, and we'll see where we are. So for starting, I think I'm going to work on some more of my shorts and then get a little bit more of a Sterling House read, and then I will check in with y'all. Well, I have finished all my social media creations for the next week, so that's great. And I finished the Sterling House. It was good. I enjoyed it. Probably on the top of my list. I don't know, I'll have to see. But I really did like it. I like the writing, definitely the atmosphere of it. There was a little bit of everything in it for everyone. There's not really much I can say about it without giving it away, and this blog's not really about it, but I am really glad that I finally read it, and if it looks at all remotely interested, I do highly suggest that you pick it up. So now I need to finish the rest of my proofreading edits for Neurodiverse, and then finally start one of the books that I'm planning on reading for this blog. So it's not quite 7. Neurodiverse proofreads are finished, so very happy about that. I also started reading the first 50 pages of The Outside by Ada Hoffman. So I didn't know really anything about this book going into it, except that it was autistic representation, and it is that. I get why this book is considered like cream of the crop of autistic individuals. The rep is fantastic. The world, it took me a little bit to get into, but not much, because I'm only 50 pages in and I've been into the world for a little while now. I have an idea of where the story's headed, so I'm interested to see how that pans out. But there's still so much left to happen in the story. It starts on a space station, and we're with we're told from the POV of an autistic physicist who's in charge of a project, and they are about to turn on this device. It's I think like a generator to kind of like power the space station that they're living on. And this is going to be like the first human created space station generator. Up until that point, it had all been powered by ones created by gods. So I guess, yeah, I'm still not sure exactly where everything goes in. I think kind of being like figuring that out is like, I think, the point of the story. But it's a very interesting concept that we're out in outer space, but we're there at pretty much the mercy of a group of gods that consume our soul after we die, basically, based upon the characteristics that you are as a person. I don't know, it's a very interesting concept. Not exactly what I was expecting, but I'm enjoying it so far. Very well written. This is the only book that Ada Hoffman has out, which is kind of sad. but it was only published in 2019, so hopefully, I don't know, they can write more. Oh, also it's queer, which I was not expecting, but it's sapphic, so that's pretty exciting also. So, as I said, episode 7, I haven't yet filmed for this week at all for YouTube, so I need to do that now, and then probably make some dinner after that and read some more. I will try and check in at least one more time before I go to bed. So I just figured I would check in. It's now 8:20. I've done filming. That's not too bad, actually. I thought it was going to take a lot longer. So now I'm going to go make some dinner and read. And there we go. So it is now Friday afternoon, and I am actually about ready to get ready for bed. I was trying to get to 200 pages before I did an update, and it just didn't happen. I'm at 150 page in the outside, and that's just where I'm going to be today, at least before I read. I'll probably read some more before I go to bed, but for updates, that's where I'm at. So the book's going good. It's definitely, I'm loving the autism rep and how it's presented in the world as well as just in the book. It is a science fiction book with a character that just happens to have autism, not a book about autism, and I love that. That is something that there's just not enough of, so I'm very excited to have finally picked this up. The science fiction is very interesting as well. I both feel like I know exactly what is going to happen, as well as kind of have no idea where the story is heading, which is a very interesting kind of place to view while I'm reading. So I'm very hooked, very interested to see where I'm going to go, and there's still a lot left to read, so hopefully I get some good pages read tonight. I am working a little bit later this week because next week I'm taking off early on Friday, so that is impacting how much time I have to read, and I just watched way too much television tonight. But I do have 2 books to show off that I got. I finally have Patrick Stewart's autobiography, Making Is So. I know it released like a couple of days ago, and it took this long for me to pick it up, but I've really been trying not to buy books, and I had a cave for this one because it's Patrick Stewart. And since I was buying that book, like, you can't just buy one, right? I picked up fan fiction by Brett Spiner. Brett Spiner is the actor that plays Data in Star Trek, and I didn't even know he had written a book. And this is a fictionalized autobiography. I think he calls it a memoir. And it's about basically what happens when fans get a little bit too much. So I'm very excited to pick that up as well. The inside is pretty. So yeah, it was published in 2021, so not too long ago, honestly. So I'm excited to read that one as well, and even just find out that it existed. So I will update you tomorrow. It is Tuesday night, and I'm slowly coming to the realization that I don't think I'm going to be having another book added to this vlog. I'm still reading The Outsiders. I'm now at page 222. I am really enjoying it, but I'm not reading it very fast. It's space opera science fiction, which I really enjoy. But the world building is one of those sci-fis that kind of make you think. And it just means that I can't read it as fast. If I do, I find out that, like, I'm missing some of it. The concept and the idea behind it are really fascinating, and I'm still not quite sure like where we're going. Like, we're already where I knew we were going to be, but what else is going to happen, I don't know. So just making sure I'm paying attention to everything. So I wouldn't say it is a fast read, but it's a really, really good one, and I'm really enjoying the reading experience, which is another reason why I don't want to rush through it, because I do feel like if I rushed through it, I would be missing out. And this is a book I've wanted to read for a long time, and I don't want to miss out on it just to read faster. I mean, if I could, then I wouldn't have a problem with it, but I can't. This is definitely a slower read for me. Plus I just have like other stuff that I'm working on. I just finished tonight getting some notes together for the audiobook of Neurodiverse. I've got to start working on formatting some of that, and just kind of making sure, like working on some of the other steps for getting Neurodiverse ready to publish. I started a new diamond painting because I'm finding them very relaxing. So there's that also, mostly just during the downtime. But yeah, so it's Tuesday. I'm slightly halfway over this book, and I'm not sure where it's headed. But I did finish Sterling House in this vlog too, so I mean that's not horrible. But I was hoping to read another book by an autistic author that I had just picked up by an indie author. But maybe I will have to just add that to another vlog. I guess we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I will, after I finish getting, well actually I still have to edit tomorrow's video. I put it off way too long. So once I get that edited, hopefully I will be able to read at least a little bit more tonight. Probably not as much as I would want because it's already later. But soon. So I will update you all tomorrow. Hello. It is Wednesday night. I have not finished The Outside yet, although I am at 263 pages. So I have about 140 pages left to read, and they will be finished by tomorrow because I need to start my next vlog. I did not anticipate this taking this long, and still wanted to read another book, so it's going great. I had a very productive evening though, not exactly of reading, although I did get some reading done, but I got the first like part of my book formatted, and I was so excited. I just kind of became very focused on it and just kept working on it because it's looking excellent. Specifically the paperback version, it's going to look so fantastic. So I am finally using the software Vellum, which is a Mac book formatting software, and I probably should have bought it earlier, but you know, as an indie author you kind of learn as you go, and I didn't know it existed for in between, and wasn't really sure about it for The Immortal Part of Myself, and I knew for Neurodiverse that I needed it. And I'm so thankful because it is allowing me to format things that I was very concerned I was going to format, because Neurodiverse, I would say like plot-wise and such, The Immortal Part of Myself is definitely more intricate. It's still POV. It has past and present, but Neurodiverse is more intricate formatting wise, because there's text conversations, there's other things that come up in the novel that I need separate ways to format. So like I had to format like multiple different things without it looking like it was too much. And I think it's it's looking great, so I'm very happy. And then I got it so like the first page is like special, and so it's like got more graphics, and it looks stunning. I still need to get one proofread feedback back, so I might have to just go in and make those changes on there, but that's okay. I knew that it shouldn't be too intense, and I wanted to make sure I could do what I needed to for the formatting, and I can. And now I can also work on making the paperback cover and the hardback cover and get those started. So I'm very happy. And so, as you can see, I became very great in that, and didn't read as much today, and that's okay. But I need to finish this book by tomorrow, so finishing it is now going to be my focus. I will say that today, when I was reading, I realized that the outside reminds me of Annihilation. And I don't know if you have ever read Annihilation. Specifically, I think it's the Southern Reach trilogy by Van... I don't remember his name. But it is a speculative fiction. Okay, so my battery just died with no warning, so if this doesn't stitch together, that is why. So the Southern Reach trilogy is a speculative fiction series that is very mysterious, and I don't want to say anything about it because I don't want to give anything away, but I loved the series because it was just fantastic. This world building and then the language used in it was fantastic. Like, that's a book that I could read just to dissect how the sentences were written more than anything else about the book. But there's aspects about this book that really remind me of The Outside. And it's not the language, because as much as I'm enjoying The Outside, the writing is not the same as it is in Annihilation and that. But what Annihilation does not have is a plot, honestly. And The Outside does. It is very focused on the plot, but there's a lot of similarities in the plot ish, at least like this concept of it, and it almost feels like getting closure for that series never actually gave me. Although I haven't gotten closure in this novel yet, because again, I still have 140 pages left to read. But it is, this world is becoming very fantastical, and so you have the science fiction mixed in with like fantasy science, and it is like, for me, it takes a lot for my brain to be processing these together in a good way. I'm like really enjoying it, but it's not. That's why, and one of the reasons why it's taking me so long to read is because I'm actually having to like really pay attention to the sentences to make sure I'm absorbing what's happening. But I just got to I believe what is a critical moment, and we just got some backstory on one of the characters, so that made things make a little bit more sense. But I'm really excited to see where this story is going to go, because as much as like I kind of know where it's going to go, I have no idea where it's going to go. I know I've said that this entire time, but I still mean it. Like, nothing that's happened has surprised me, but how we're getting there and what the end goal is, I don't know. And I'm here for it. So I don't think I've talked enough about the autism representation in this book, and I love it. It is fantastic. There is like stimming, which is moving your body. There is just, just little references about, oh, I have a hard time with faces, and just little things like that that are not like the main focus of the story, but are just those little moments that make it so relatable as an autistic individual to the character. And in this world, which is queer normative, which is awesome, there is like just this mention of neurotypes. I think that's the word that is used, and just like this acknowledgement that there are different groups of people, and not that one group is like weird. They just are, and it's a way of helping to understand as one piece of that person, and how that is defined is exceptional. And then there's also like this side conversation, it's not spoilers because it's not part of the plot really or the storyline, it's just there, that the world, like depending on what world you're on, it's going to depend on how you're treated, and how you're like the services you're going to receive, and like just how people are going to react to you also. And that is fantastic. And then also our two main characters, like, well, the POV is our main character, but then there's this other important character, and they're both autistic, and they're different autistic, but there's something special about both of them. And I like that it made a point that that maybe their autism helped influencing them to be special, but it's not like everyone who's autistic is special, and how they put that out, I think, is fantastic. So I'm loving the rep, and I mean, its own voice, so it would have been valid anyways, but I really like how it's presented. I think in a lot of ways, readers will really be able to attach and identify to it, even more so than my writing, and my books, because I'm so much more, I think, in your face. Even though I'm attempting to do the same thing, I just am more, I'm more in your face about it, I think. Like the cat really wants to get into my room, but they don't sleep in here. So, I'm not sure. That probably because I'm talking. They do not like when I talk, when there's not a person there. But the way Ada Hoffman presented this, I think, honestly, it could be a lot more relatable to non-autistic individuals, for a way to like, kind of glean more about autism without, like, autism being, like, in your face, which, in my latest book, Neurodiverse, it is very in your face, less so probably in between, but when Ada Hoffman publishes their next book, I will absolutely pick it up. I think, I'm hopeful that this is an author that's going to have a very long and very successful writing career, just so I can keep reading their books, because we need more autistic stories, and reading this makes me realize how important it is that we just don't have enough autistic authors. There are millions and millions of individuals who are autistic, and we don't have that same amount of representation in writing. And then we have, like, our own lack of diversity within even the writers that we do have, because the vast majority of autistic writers are white. The ones that I've read. Well, maybe about half. But there's just not a big pool of writers. I'm not gonna lie. It's very, very small. So, okay, so I could probably come up with 10 white autistic authors that write fiction, and probably about 3 that are not white. And each of those 3 come from a different background. Because one would be River Solomon, and one would be Aurora Martinez, who wrote V, and then one would be Helen Hong, who wrote the Kiss Quotient in that trilogy. And that's it that I can think of. So there's just not enough. And I'm sure, hopefully, as I keep going, I keep finding a few more indie authors, which is excellent. But considering there's millions and millions of autistic individuals, it's not enough representation. So which is why it's so important that there is this representation in what we do have, and then people read it. Yeah. So I'm probably going on about it too much, but it is something that is very important to me, and is why I write what I write, but also I read what I read. So I am going to stop for tonight, and tomorrow I will be finishing The Outside. Like, that's just, I don't know how, but it needs to happen. So if I end up staying up tonight reading a significant amount, may update before work in the morning. We'll see how it goes. I do need to sleep, but obviously I'm like kind of high strung because I got in my zone today, so I might be able to get in another zone and just see how late I stay up reading. We'll find out. So I will talk to y'all later. It is Thursday night, and I finally did it. I finished The Outside. It is done. It is read. It took a bit longer than I expected, but that's okay because it was a delightfully lovely book. It is, I want to say weird, but it kind of is like purposefully weird. I really enjoyed the weirdness of it, but it is not a sci-fi I would probably recommend for people who don't enjoy science fiction, or who don't like more complex science fiction, because this is definitely a science fiction fantasy almost, because there's this fantastical element of the science, and I really enjoyed it. But you really had to sit and think through it to keep everything together. So I don't know if there's any plans for there to be a sequel to this. Okay, I'm interjecting this in really quick because I went to add the book onto Storygraph, and it is listed as the first book in a sequel, so yay. I think for the most part it's supposed to be a standalone, but I'm not sure. However, it could easily be a series. And there's one aspect that really makes me want it to be a series. Like, I think for overall how it closed, if this is a standalone, like, it does, like, allow you to continue thinking about this world that is going to keep existing after you close the pages. But there's still a sense of completeness. You don't feel like, you were left on a cliffhanger or, like, incomplete. I would gladly pick up a next book in this world, but if this is a standalone, I wouldn't be, like, completely upset. However, there's one side character that the background story was alluded to and not explained. Actually, most of the side characters, honestly, the background story wasn't explained. They were just kind of alluded to, especially on the Angels side, because there's this whole god system That again, there's this huge background to, and we only get like the surface level of it, but it was done well enough that the surface level, I think, gives you a good, like, understand, like, you can build your own kind of backstory to it to kind of figure out what would potentially have happened. And so, while there could have been a little bit more, I also get why there's not, because there was just already so much in this book. And there's one character that is just fascinating. On one of the, I can't remember, I don't think she's actually an angel. I think, I don't know, but the backstory isn't done, so I, like, wasn't said in the book, but now that I'm thinking about it, so Ada Hoffman, who is the author, also she's genderqueer, which is super cool. And the angel in this book is actually male, but there's other angels that are genderqueer. And even though the main angel's male, there's still like a gender fluid aspect to it. Just how it's done worked really well. Monsters in My Mind. She's the author of a short story collection, Monsters in My Mind, and of the autistic book Party Review series. But I wonder if one of the side characters actually has her own short story, because there's definitely enough, either that or there needs to be another book to go into her. Anyways, it was a really good book. I'm really glad I read it. Hopefully you enjoyed it, because this was kind of a very weird vlog. Not much going on, but a really good autistic own voice book for you to check out. And I will hopefully read the fantasy one that I just picked up very soon, because I really want to. But I'm going to go ahead and end this vlog now. I've spent most of the day getting ready for an adventure, and I need to finish with what little time I have left tonight. Because my next vlog is going to be us going on an adventure. I finally have got the kid to leave the house and come with me, and we're bringing our cats. So make sure to check out my next vlog, because hopefully it's going to be epic. And as always, keep reading, keep writing, and until next time.